Do you ever wonder what you could do with wax seals? Maybe you have some. Maybe you have the makings to make them. By the end of this video, you'll see some wax seals. I made a whole bunch on Tuesday, and these little clusters with some fabric and lace and special stuff, I began them on Tuesday too. And now I'm going to try and make more, because I have some projects upcoming that I'd like to use them in, specifically a medieval one. That one there with the green and the jewelry, I made that a little while ago. So what could you do with wax seals? I have a list, 24 things. As you might know, maybe if you've watched more of my videos, sometimes I make myself a list. So I have a pot there, the blue one, that melts wax, and I have a small glue gun style that melts sticks of wax for making seals. And as much as I love melting the one, it takes so long to melt. You're going to see in this video, I've just started them, the little wax pellets. And by the end, you'll see me pour it into a cluster that I made and then stamp it with a wax seal. So what could you do with these wax seals? Well, sometimes they're used as closures and fasteners. To close envelopes, you can create a seal, a wax seal, a vintage style envelope, and you can shut it with wax. I mean, we've all seen those in movies, right? You can wrap a string around something, a tag or a folder or even an envelope, and then put the wax seal over top of the twine or the string or the ribbon to close the journal or the folio or whatever. I think it would be really cool to put a piece of Velcro on the folder and on the wax seal, and then it looks like it's closed with a wax seal, but it's actually just Velcroed down. And you could seal down a folded flap that later, whoever opens up the journal for the first time, they can break it open. Another thing is to use a wax seal to hold closed a little folded note or a hidden journaling spot. The only clue you have that there's a hidden journaling spot is the fact the wax seal is there. So I have all these different wax seals, and I have a bunch of paper bases, and then different pieces of yarn and ribbon, and pretty things, even some feathers, so that they can be held on with the wax seal. So what I'm using is Fabri-Tac to put the wax seal onto the whatever's the layers that I've added. In the end, when finally that wax in the pot finishes melting, you'll see me pour it directly onto some substrates. Yeah, so what else other than holding something closed? Well, obviously, an accent. That's what I'm doing here with all these pretty papers. You can glue a wax seal directly onto a piece of paper, a page, the page itself, or a cluster like I'm doing here. You can create a corner decoration up at the corner of a page, so that when you turn a page, there's a surprise. It's a wax seal. You could cover a photo frame with vintage style studs of wax seals. That would create a very interesting decoration. You could use a wax seal like a button and poke some holes through so that you can stitch it on. Or a tab topper, an embellishment on the top of a tab and including on that a wax seal. That could be something. And always a dangling charm, a wax seal. That's pretty. You can pour the wax onto a circle of parchment and punch a hole through it and dangle it from a bulb pin. Now this I'm going to use as a side tuck, so that's why it's up and down. And this little bit of feather and ribbon on top. That'll look nice at the side of a page, I think. Some of these I'm going to use for the medieval journal that I'm planning on making. Now, what else can we do with wax seals? You can create a seal over a bunch of fabric snippets, little pieces of fabric. You can anchor a dangle of lace or ribbon onto a page with a wax seal. I bet you could even make like a belly band with 2 wax seals, one at top, one at bottom, and a ribbon between. You could press one into a vintage label or ticket for an old world kind of look. And then you could create a hidden message. Isn't this pretty, this dangle? I like this trim a lot. I'm trying to see if that'll work on the edge. And I'm covering up the name of the paint because it's a paint chip. Nope. How else can it go? A little bit of lace. That works. It's simple. It's delicate. It's lovely. I like that too. So, still more ways to use wax seals. You can press botanicals, maybe some lace or metal charms. Like I did that one of it was a necklace, heart with some shiny stones in it. I just pressed it into the wax and it turned out so nice. What else can you do? You can add metallic paste or mica powder, or I have some wax seal there that I put some gold flakes into the wax before I pressed it. That worked out really well. The gold paint, the gold flecks, the gold things, they flew all over the place, but I'm sure I can get better at that. Now, I wonder which one goes nicely on this tag. I'm trying to echo the 2 butterflies, one at the top right, one at the bottom. So, just a few more things that you can do, at least that I've thought of. I'm sure there's more. If you have any ideas of what to do with wax seals, leave a comment below. I'd love to know some new ideas. I have all of those there on the table to use up, so yeah. See the wax in the pot? It's still melting. Okay, here's a few more. You can seal an envelope to hide journaling or ephemera in a spot. You can use a seal on a flap and use it as the device that lifts the flap. It becomes a handle maybe. And you can combine wax seals with brads and string to make a different kind of closure. I think I'd like to do that. Maybe with that cover that is the paper lace that I made last week. Yeah, that would be interesting. Some brads and some string to make a closure with a wax seal. And the most interesting thing is to create almost a ritual of opening up a letter or a hidden journaling spot. Imagine making a bunch of places where you put in a sealed space to journal. And you have to break the seal to open it to do some journaling on it. And as you go through a journal that has multiple pages and you find one of these pockets, and it's like finding a hidden treasure. Every time you open it, you don't just open the hidden writing spot. You have to break the seal first. It becomes a ritual and an interactive experience, at least. Yeah. So wax seals are interesting. I think we really have to use our imagination to make it work well. But we can do it. I'm not sure about this color, that's why, with the hand flip. But it's okay. I try it. I've got to find the hole punch and then make use of it. I have a trolley beside me, and on the trolley is many of my tools that I really enjoy using. And so I often will reach over there. How are you doing? Have you been having fun crafting? I hope so. What's on your desk? Leave me a comment. Let me know. I want to say hello to all the new subscribers and all the subscribers that have come back and that watch. If you leave a comment, I would love to interact with you. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I invite you to subscribe. I have more ideas coming and things to try and series of things to do. If there's anything you'd like me to try or do, let me know. I'd be happy to play a little bit and explore. Okay, now here's the pot of the melting wax. Do you see how long it's taken to melt? A long time. Let's see if it's ready to pour yet. Apparently not. I used just a wooden stick to melt in there. Now this is Distress Oxide ink that I've brushed onto tracing paper. It has a very crunchy texture and the colors are mushed together. It works well. The wax seal that's sitting now in the frame is made with just plain glue stick, like not wax, but glue stick. And then I used a gold marker to color on it a little bit. I'm going to, in a minute, use the brush from the Distress Oxide ink and make some color around the edge of the frame. Now that frame is I don't even know what it's called, but it cuts out the shape and embosses it at the same time. And if you do it on a plain color. You can change the way it looks, obviously, with a different ink or watercolor. Watercolor is harder because as soon as it gets wet, then it loses its shape. So a distress ink is a good choice. Or just distress oxide. Actually, any ink. That would be something interesting to explore. If you have a piece of paper that's embossed, what can you do with it before it loses its shape from the embossing? How much can you play with it? You can spray it, I know that. I don't know. There's something to explore. Yeah. So lots of things to work on. Fall things. I know some of the people that I craft with in person, they're working on their fall journals. Some people are involved with Christmas already because it takes time, especially if you want to give things away as a gift. You have to get started on Christmas items. I have a couple things that I want to do for Christmas for a few different people. Not too many, but a few. One of them has to do with a coffee shop cup. In Canada, there's, and some places in the US. Oh, and in Ireland, somebody sent me a picture. They were traveling in Ireland, and they drove by a Tim Hortons. That blew my mind. And so, anyhow, I have a coffee cup, a brand new one. It hadn't been used, and I'm going to make something with it. It's like a snow globe. Someone special sent me a few of those one year. Not last year, the year before, I think. So either it's been too early to start it, or it's been too late to start. So I've decided I'm going to kind of step over autumn. And instead of making autumn journal or something, I'm going to go directly into Christmas. And as I'm making this, it's October, so it's okay to start, right? Have you begun your Christmas crafting? Okay, let's try this wax now, again. Is it ready? I don't know. Is it? You see how long it takes. Pretty soon, I'm going to start the glue gun wax seal heat source, and I'll show you how quickly it heats up in comparison. We've been waiting this entire time for the heat gun, the pot. And I won't, so funny story, not funny. I don't use things with a flame anymore. 2 years? No, 1 year ago, I was crafting in my craft room. I was making a melting wax with a flame and one of those holders that you have. And I was also crafting with coffee filters. Now you know how light coffee filters are. And it just so happened that the edge of the coffee filter, you know what I'm going to say, right? The edge of the coffee filter caught the flame, and it just burst into a flame. And I'm in a room filled with paper and fabric. Yeah, and the weight of the coffee filter was so light that it literally started wafting up in the air because of the heat of the air current, and it's on fire. And I had a vision of the house just bursting into flames, and then the fire alarm went off because, of course, there were flames and paper. Fortunately, my husband, who was on a call with a group of people, he was across the hall, and he came out, and he right away helped me put out the flames. nothing was hurt. Like, I was in a room with carpet even, and nothing got singed except for the coffee filter. That burned up, and I probably found little flecks of the ash for a while. But this is why I'm using an electric pot and a glue gun wax melter. No flame. As romantic and wonderful as it is, I just don't think that I recognize safety well enough. Yeah. So, if you're wondering, that's why. And I do like the pot, the melting, the wax. If I just needed one wax seal, that would be fine. Okay, here we go. We're going to pour it just willy-nilly, just like that. And then put the stamp down. Here it goes. Boom. Just like that. And it won't be perfect, but that's okay. Half of what we do in junk journaling is about the experience of doing it, the kinesthetic joy, that little bit of thrill. Will it work? Won't it work? I don't know. So I'm smushing down the drop that dropped and making it seem intentional, adding a little bit more lace to that bit. And there it is. Comes off just like that. Magic. Beautiful. And no flames. Now I'm going to show you how easy it is, pardon my arm, to use the glue gun. It's quick. It's easy. I do think, now if you're a math person, maybe you can figure it out, but I think the wax lengths, the tubes, the sticks, they're more expensive than the little pellets. But, you don't make 100 wax seals. And for those that do, I'm sure that if they're selling them, they'll charge an appropriate amount. But for us crafters, we use what we have until it's used up, and we can afford to buy different ones. So right now I have enough wax sticks. Is it called? I don't know what they're called. And enough pellets in colors that I enjoy. And I'll use those until they're gone. And as I mentioned, I did use the the glue gun plastic regular glue that melts as a wax seal, and it worked fine. If you color it or you put a piece of pretty paper underneath, that works well also. So I may resort to that at times. A little bow out of a ribbon. I have to try and get it to stick down, so I use Fabri-Tac before I put the wax on. Sometimes glue is just necessary. Do you like the idea of feathers? It's just recently that I've had some feathers to use, but even wanted to use some. Now we're going to try and squeeze out the... Yep, it's liquid enough. It's ready. See how quick? Very quick. I even have a mold that you can squeeze the glue, the wax into, that makes a circular place to stick the wax seal on. All right, here we go. Just willy-nilly, without too much thought, down goes the wax, and then the seal, the metal seal. There it is. And it takes no time at all to harden. And the brass, I think it's brass anyhow. It's metal. It's very heavy. There it is. Isn't that fun? It's an adventure. There we go. So, whatever you're doing, whatever you're crafting, enjoy the process. Get a little thrill of delight, or a moment or 2 or 10 of relaxation. Here we go. Here are some of the cards that I made both on Tuesday and today. That's a piece of jewelry there in that wax seal. And some 1800s paper that I colored, and a really pretty little tag. That was cool. The what's that called? Burlap. Burlap was really interesting. If you watch Tuesday's video, I did that and it surprised me. Isn't that nice? It's almost fairy tale-ish. And more. Now, if nobody's told you today, or this week, or lately, I want to tell you, you matter. You do matter. What you think, how you feel, and what you do, it matters. I enjoy spending time with you. Have fun crafting. Until we meet again, take care. I'm Lori at Positive Thanks Living. Have fun. Bye for now.